What's going on, everybody? This is Malcolm Harris. It is Monday, October 6th, and it is another episode of What The Truck here at FreightWaves in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Could not be happier to be here on a lovely Monday. Today's show is going to be all about tech, quietly reshaping freight, all right? I'm talking smart solutions to some of the industry's biggest problems. I have CEO and founder of ShipItPro, Wesley Montague, with me. Over 2 decades of experience when it comes to packaging and cargo damage, as well as just a platform that he has built to talk about freight damages as well as claims head on. And then also, David Mendelson is going to be joining me as well. He is the Chief Product Officer at Super Dispatch. He has spent days, weeks, hours, months, years, you name it, talking to carriers and brokers about how to really use tech. All right, and there's a plot twist because everything that is in the background that is being used right now, AI is a part of, and he's going to be talking to us about it. I could not wait to get both of these men on the show. It's going to be awesome. But what is this show without our sponsors at Descartes MicroPoint?
Trusted by shippers and preferred by brokers, Descartes MacroPoint is the industry's best transportation, visibility, and risk monitoring platform. Deliver confidence with real-time insights and automated alerts to keep freight moving and your customers informed. Less risk, more connectivity. That's Descartes MacroPoint. Visibility you can trust.
Again, this show is sponsored by our lovely friends at Descartes MacroPoint. Every load matters when it comes to your reputation. That's why the world's top companies rely on Descartes MacroPoint for visibility and risk monitoring. Keep customers confident, freight moving, and operations in sync. Descartes MacroPoint, visibility that you can trust. All right, looking at headlines really briefly before we get to the men of the hour. This article from Secretary Duffy in terms of halting non-domiciled CDLs could wipe out illegal operators. Y'all, I saw this and I was excited. It came from Craig last night, and essentially there's big news. I mean, the U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, he's put a halt on non-domiciled commercial driver's license. For those not familiar, these non-domiciled CDLs are held by drivers whose licenses are issued in a state where they don't actually reside. And this has become a loophole for operators trying to skirt regulations. So this is definitely something to be on the lookout in terms of Secretary Duffy and what's to come here when it comes to these non-domiciled, I would say, designations. Now, also, this is going to be huge because when you think about this, a lot of illegal and non-compliant operators could be forced out of this market. That's the huge part. But then also, it reduces unfair competition, and there's a ripple effect because some regions might see lighter capacity. Freight brokers will need to adjust how they source drivers. It's a move that could reshape parts of trucking for the next few months. So really be on the lookout for how this is going to trend in the months and weeks to come, okay? The second is going to be a troubling story that I saw over the weekend that, I don't want to report about, but I always want to keep you guys informed. So there was a troubling story. Again, a U.S. Postal Service mail carrier was actually shot by an Amazon driver during a confrontation at an apartment complex. This is alarming for a couple of reasons. Obviously, highlights the risk of frontline delivery workers. And then something, all of us should be taking into account. We've been trying to manage with better safety protocols and driver training. Incidents like this have operational consequences, right? When it comes to seeing a spike in delivery conflicts, there is definitely data that shows this happening. It could trigger policy reviews, insurance adjustments, or carrier, actual reputations. This could be an impact. So for our listeners in the industry, it's just a reminder, logistics isn't always just moving freight. It's about safety and managing people as well. Shifting now to the international space, I saw this and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty interesting. So the Red Sea carriers are keeping a very close eye on the Gaza peace talks, all right? And there's tension in the region and creating uncertainty for maritime traffic, specifically in certain areas when it comes to global trade. Carriers are essentially waiting and in watch and wait mode when it comes to shipping routes because they may need to be adjusted to avoid conflict. So this is also something to keep a lookout on because fuel costs, scheduling, delivery, this is all dependent on these conversations and could have an impact when it comes to ports, vessels, and freight lanes as well. Finally, there's a major leadership shakeup right now happening. Derek Bars has been confirmed as the FMCSA chief. All right, this is out of Washington that happened over the weekend. The Senate has confirmed Derek as a new administrator of the FMCSA. He has a background in law enforcement. His confirmation signals a potential shift towards more stricter regulatory enforcement and safety oversight in the trucking industry. So this is some big news. For carriers, this means compliance will continue to be front and center. All right, this is going to influence everything from safety audits to hours of service enforcement, and could even take on, of course, the hot topic of the hour when it comes to CDLs. So definitely be on the lookout for more to come on this story, and there's more to come on the show because now I am welcomed by the man of the hour again, joining me from ShipItPro, the one, the only Wes Montague. Wes, how are you, sir?
Fantastic, and it's an honor to be here with you, Malcolm.
It's an honor for you to be on the show. I'm super excited. Had to take care of business first, but now we get to the fun part, and I'm excited for you to be here.
Glad to be here.
Definitely. Well, there is something that you wanted to kick off the show with, so I'm gonna stop yapping and I'm gonna let you do your thing.
I got my own little intro.
Go ahead.
Motor Mouth of the Mid-South, Wesley Montague here, live and on the air with What the Truck?
You might put me out of business, man. No, that is awesome. That was awesome. I'm a radio guy. I know you said that your dad had some radio influences as well. So I think you made Pops proud.
Always wanted to do that.
No, that was awesome.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, man, of course. So you're joining us today here in Chattanooga, but you have Memphis ties. Let me ask, what kind of brings you here to Chattanooga right now?
Very exciting stuff, Malcolm. I was accepted into the Company Labs Sustainable Mobility Accelerator. Nice. This is a 6-week intensive groom Wes Montague and ShipItPro to get us to scale.
Yeah.
And I'm in there with with 5 other startups, mentors, advisors, investors, really grooming us to take us to the next level. I'm a room full of geniuses, and then there's Wes Montague in there, just proud to be there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. For those that don't know, when it comes to Company Lab, I mean, it is an organization that has done a lot in the ecosystem here in Chattanooga. I mean, this is an accelerator. It focuses on entrepreneurs like Wes and others, to his point. And what this does is essentially gives them like an incubator, right, to kind of put them in touch with different points, different assets, different types of, I would just say, resources to push their business models forward. And you are definitely in good hands with Tashia as well as Barry and the rest of the team at Company Lab. So
I feel it already.
Yeah, definitely. So bring us here, because what is ShipItPro, and how did you even come up with this idea, man?
Well, ShipItPro is a transportation damage management system. Yeah. We stop freight damage before it happens. Yeah. We're a proactive software system. So after 18 years of climbing in and out of trailers and containers and boxcars, sweating my rear end off, I said, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And so I started building something that I always wanted to see in the industry myself, to make to really help when it comes to this overlooked area, and nobody wants to deal with freight claims and cargo damage at the end of the day. So I'm trying to tackle that.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to damages, how much are we talking when it comes to damages?
I mean, globally, you're talking hundreds of $billions. When you look at, claims and product loss, and then rework, restacking, reproducing, it really adds up. And just in North America alone, tens of billions of dollars could be saved by, approaching this problem with a good system, a simple system, and something that everybody can start utilizing to communicate between the shipper, the carrier, the broker, and the receiver at the end of the day.
Definitely. I want to touch on that as well, because there's a lot of mistakes that can happen when you're talking about loading product, right? And cargo specifically. What's the number one mistake that you see when loading freight?
I think it's a combination of a few, but I think lack of documentation, poor communication at the loading docks.
Yeah.
It's a high area of employee turnover there, new faces every few months and stuff. So, training falls in there, but, one loose strap, one airbag not inflated properly, not loading tightly, little things like that. People just, get in routine, get it in, get it out, and be done with it. Simple steps can be taken to, tighten that load up and make it right, ship it right.
Let's ship it right, ship it with the pros.
Ship it right, ship it tight.
So how does ShipItPro actually change what you just kind of went into in terms of, all right, what things can kind of be compelled to utilize ShipItPro?
Well, I think it starts with, it gives a plan, it gives a guide to the loading dock, starting at origin, at point A. We give them a guide, a plan, we track it. We're able to, hold it accountable and really understand what happens during transit, along with, what our plan was at origin, and then, learning from the outcomes at destination. So
Definitely. What's been the reaction when you see people using Ship It Pro for the first time? I mean, what's generally the
I
reaction?
mean, where's this thing been for the last, 10, 20 years is a lot of the positive reactions I get, because it's a simple solution to a huge problem. We're, this cuts into profits, so we're saving money, we're saving time, we're bringing accountability, we're clearing up finger pointing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, where's this been and when can we start utilizing it?
Definitely. Now, what do you want people listening to today to take away from in terms of Ship It Pro and what you're doing?
I mean, the biggest thing is, I think today freight claims and cargo dams is almost looked at as a cost of doing business, and it's not. It's a
Yeah.
preventable problem. And so, we want to, that's what Ship It Pro is here for, to prove it. Secure every load, prove every mile.
Definitely. Now, Wes, I mean, you originally from Memphis, all right? And now here in Chattanooga. So let me ask, what has been the biggest difference in cities when it comes to Memphis as well as Chattanooga?
Well, the good thing is I've got Memphis and Chattanooga, both logistics and freight, capitals of the United States, backing me on this thing.
Yeah.
Biggest thing, I love the mountains. I love the river running through it, and I like the accessibility to the river to just go walk after I'm done, studying all day. And still good people in Memphis, good people here, same type of vibe there, but it's just a different scenery. And I really like how everything's real centrally located in this little hidden area with mountains surrounding me, and it's just a sense of peace I feel out here.
Going back to Company Lab, the accelerator I know has been like drinking from a fire hose with it like turned on 50,000. What's been the biggest thing you've taken away so far being in a program like this for startups, specifically like in the logistics space?
I truly feel like I've got a support system that wants me to succeed, and if I succeed, they succeed. I feel like I've got some support that they want to make Ship It Pro the next big thing in freight technology.
Yeah.
And to have the expertise and the guidance and the even the community coming in to the company lab. They're bringing in mentors from all walks of life. They're bringing in people from what's investing mean to who are some pilot opportunities, and they're really trying to use the community to help build this thing too, and that's a special thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you're talking to an entrepreneur right now that is looking to kind of put roots on the ground in the South, why would you tell them Chattanooga?
Because we've got it all here. I mean, Chattanooga's a growing city. They've got the infrastructure here already. They've got this community backing them, and it's a perfect place to ideate and know you've got a good group of people that the resources there for you to make it happen.
Definitely. Now, Wes, you've been in this industry for a long time. You've had your fair share of good days. You've had your fair share of bad days, and you've had the fair share of you at the end of the day being like, man, what the truck just happened, and obviously replace the truck. What is your what the truck moment? I always ask every guest that comes on the show, and a what the truck moment is just like, man, this is crazy, and I'm gonna get through it, but this is wild.
My what the truck moment was sitting in a 60-foot boxcar on top of some 58-inch, 1,000-pound paper rolls in the middle of summertime out in Long Beach, California, that I had followed all the way from Tennessee to inspect at destination. It was about 115 degrees and hot paper rolls in there, and I'm sweating and sweating and sweating with a clipboard and a camera taking measurements. And I said, man, there's got to be an easier way to do this.
Yeah.
I need an app for that. And that's where this whole thing stemmed from. I'm like, what the truck am I doing right now?
Well, you've definitely cashed in, and when it comes to the rest of the cohort and the accelerator and just the future of Ship It Pro, if you could just put it into a few words, what do you think this is going to look like?
I feel like we've got something groundbreaking we're going to see utilized across all modes of transportation.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited about it, Malcolm.
Well, I'm excited
whole
about it.
opportunity.
I'm excited about it. I was super excited for you to join the show. And again, this is the CEO of Ship It Pro, Wes Montague. Wes, where can everybody find information about you?
I would love for you to check out our website at shipitpro.com. You can reach out to me at wmontague@shipitpro.com. And if you can't spell Montague, let's just say hello@shipitpro.com. And I'll get
Hello.
back to you.
Hello@shipitpro.com. You cannot forget that. That is just no way. Wes, thank you so much, man. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah,
man.
of course. Again, Wes Montague with Ship It Pro. He absolutely crushed that interview and super excited for him to be here. And I believe, if I read this correctly, somebody is in the studio with me right now. I believe David Mendelson of Super Dispatch is here, locked and loaded and ready to go. David, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Thanks, Malcolm.
Awesome, awesome. Again, joining us is David Mendelson, the Chief Product Officer at Super Dispatch. He's had an incredible career journey that we're about to get into, but he's worked with companies like Salesforce, Autodesk, and much more. He's driving innovation when it comes to this space. David, welcome to What the Truck, man.
Great. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Of course, of course. I mean, I just kind of kicked it off, but you've worked for some major players in the space. I'm talking TiVo, Salesforce, Autodesk. Now you've co-founded your own company. What has been the common theme in your journey so far, David?
Yeah, I think mainly for me, it's two big things. One, it's about solving problems that really make a difference in people's lives. And I have a litmus test for that. For those that have young kids, I think hopefully this will make sense to you, is that if you're at a party, like a birthday party for your, like some friend of your kids, and you're talking to a random parent, and eventually they ask you, what do you do for a living? And like, are you excited to talk about that and explain to them what they're doing? Like whether they're excited or not could be a different story, but are they excited to hear about it? And so I think that's, one really important thing for me. And then the second thing is honestly just working with really great people. I think I've been spoiled enough in the tech industry in general just to be a part of it, and to be working with really great people that help you push yourself. You can learn from, they can learn from you, makes all the difference.
No, I agree. I think the people that you surround yourself are ultimately like what is the difference maker
Yeah.
between good, great, and like best in class. So no,
Yeah, it pushes you, right? It enables you to be your best, right? If you got the right people around you, so
no,
makes such a difference.
definitely, definitely. Now, looking at your journey, I mean, because I was doing some research, I'm like, man, this is kind of insane. I mean, you were at Salesforce. How did that, specifically kind of help, kind of curtail when it came to your strategy and when it came to scaling platforms?
Yeah, I think like the thing about that is like with larger companies,
Yeah,
it's often hard to get like to change directions or to get like kind of influence where things are going, right? You find yourself with like ideas and things that you think are really important, but convincing others, it can be a big challenge. So one thing that I look for kind of in general, but especially at larger companies, is you look for like openings, like little cracks in doors that you can kind of put your foot in and step through. And then you use that as a way to like give yourself an opening to prove something is possible, right? And to show people that may be resistant to change, that you can move forward. Like for example, at Autodesk, there was a piece of desktop software that integrated with the construction software that I was in charge of. And there was a big resistance to make a change to how that software worked, even though I knew it was really negatively impacting our customers. And so I found an engineer that was like super interested in it, and he did a prototype and then showed that it would work. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, the team that's responsible for it took it over and shipped a whole new version, right? So I think
yeah.
stuff like that can really help make a difference.
For a decision like that, when it came to, kind of pulling the trigger and finding that engineer, what went into that decision process? I mean, were you looking at, previous contacts, or were you looking at, hey, like, all right, I know that you have the bandwidth and ability to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah. You find people with like, right. I think it's the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
Mark, when we were talking about like good people, right? You find somebody you connect with, you explain what the problem is, you get them excited about it. Like engineers, like want to solve problems, right? Like ultimately that's like what engineers want to do. They want to solve a problem and they want people to use the software they create. So for this person in particular, right, I think it was really just getting him fired up about the problem. Once he understood it and I, made a suggestion of potential ways that he could approach it, he just got very excited and frankly just found the time to do it. And prove like, it's like a lot of times like engineers, also like to prove other engineers wrong, frankly. So, um, So yeah, so it was like great. He got to have a fun project that, that moves the needle forward, and got to prove some folks wrong, frankly, that like they thought that this wouldn't work, and it did. It made a huge difference. It was like night and day performance difference for the customers there.
I love that, Dave. I love that. You can definitely kind of speak to that well. Now, I want to kind of talk about this next question because I was curious. I mean, it seems on the outside looking in like everything was going awesome, and then you take this leap and you go to Super Dispatch. What went into this, man? Break this down for our listeners.
Yeah, for Super, that's funny. For Super, yeah, it's frankly, like the thing that really attracted me to Super Dispatch is it reminded me a lot of my time at Autodesk. And at Autodesk, I worked in the construction group, right? So we made software for folks throughout the construction process, but specifically here, I'm thinking about people that are actually like on the construction sites, building the buildings, using the iPads and other tablets, do that. And the software we built there, like you'd hear these stories about like foremen and so forth that would go home an hour early because of the software we created. So these are just like hardworking people that have a really hard physical job. And when I heard about Super Dispatch and on car hauling, vehicle hauling, like it reminded me exactly of those same types of people that like work extraordinarily hard, in general haven't had all the technology thrown at them, like folks in like say like sales and marketing people like have like ridiculous number of tools that they can use. So it's these like hardworking people that deserve better, right? And to me, like that the amount of like joy I got from hearing the stories of, again, like people in the construction site going home an hour early so they could have dinner with their family, like I found that seemed to be like the same types of people that were in auto hauling. So yeah, that's what attracted me, to solve those problems and enable those folks to do their job and do it more easily, right? And get home to their families sooner so that they can have dinner. Like that sounded like a very meaningful and awesome thing to contribute to.
No, it definitely does. How did you get that mentality, that last part that you just mentioned when it came to, oftentimes in this industry and in this space specifically, we lose rather that human aspect. How have you been able just to keep that throughout your career?
Yeah, I think that's like the awesome thing about being, I started out, as you mentioned, at TiVo as an engineer there.
Yeah.
And that's a consumer company, right? But in my career, I moved over towards like the, business software. And that's like the awesome thing about, consumer software and, TiVo stuff was tons of fun. But with like business software, like you actually can talk to your customers on a regular basis. And you can develop relationships with them and really get to know them. And I think that's like, for me, I think just my personality, it's just like I'm a people person. I like talking to others and like learning what's going on with them and having conversations. And I think that just grounds you, right? Like you can sit here like behind your monitor, and not feel their pain, and like feeling their pain and understanding what that pain is and how you can help solve it is extraordinarily important. So with business software, like always making time to meet with customers, to hear what's working, what's not working. The number of times I've had meetings where like that felt like amazing, like all the things we've done. Those meetings are great, but like the meetings also where we get the hard feedback, right, are also tough to hear, but great in that they spark ideas of how to solve new problems and to really understand the pain that those folks are feeling, right, and how we fix it. So I think just keeping those connections is really important. And that's the thing I think, about Super Dispatch that I really loved is, this company historically throughout its entire lifespan has really been rooted in the people of the industry. It started, on the carrier side and then moved over to shippers and brokers, but it's just always been very much rooted in the people of the industry, which I think is incredibly important.
Fantastic, Dave. No, definitely. Now, for listeners that aren't familiar, can you kind of give us the elevator pitch, right, of Super Dispatch and specifically the problems that you're solving?
Yeah. Okay. So let me hear. We'll go with this one. So it's a end-to-end platform for the auto transport industry. It streamlines how vehicles ship across the country. It connects carriers, brokers, and shippers with the tools they need to move cars faster, get paid quicker, and operate more efficiently all in one place. So yes, I think you can probably tell I have that one a little bit prepared. But I think the main thing is, right. I think the real thing here, right, is as I think folks that know, it's fragmented. There's tons of manual processes. There's like challenges with communication. Your folks are using spreadsheets and emails and phone calls. Like, how do we get rid of all that stuff and like put it all together so that it's a streamlined process? Like, I really, that's the core of it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I gave you a little softball because I just really wanted to drive home the fact that all right, this is the what, the when, the where, the wow, and the how, in
Yeah,
the
totally.
how. So talk to me a little bit about, there's this product, SuperPay, and I want you to dive into what this is and how this has come about and how big of a headache is it when it comes to carriers as well as just vendors in general when it comes to payments, and what impacts are you seeing so far when it comes to
Yeah,
SuperPay?
yeah. It's a great question. I mean, and we're quite proud of SuperPay, frankly. Yeah, I mean, think about it, like when, like traditionally, like you could show up, a driver could show up and like get cash.
Yeah.
And then that money then needs to go from that driver like back to their office, right? To like the dispatcher. And eventually maybe if there's a broker involved, then like some of that money needs to get back to the broker, right? Like you can
Right.
imagine like a crazy manual process, right? It's like paying a bill for a restaurant and then you've got to like hand the money over like 5 times around the table, but like do that all across the country. Like it's not great. So something like SuperPay really like helps streamline all that. Right, all the payments are on platform. It's all connected to folks' banks accounts, so there's like no need to do anything, and it's just clicks the buttons, and money magically moves from one account to the other. And the great thing about it is like you can do that all manually, right? If you want to just have all that control and clicks and stuff like that. But also, through our way we've developed our systems, you can actually even just automatically set that up. So you as a shipper can just pay the carrier, right? Like
Right.
after a certain period of time, when you have time to make sure the vehicle showed up okay, everything's good, like the money will just automatically flow. You'll get the records so you can do all your accounting and so forth. And you don't have to worry about it. I think the best way to think about it is basically like if you're familiar with like a Zelle or a like PayPal or anything like that. Like it's those kinds of things where it's just those virtual like transfers, that you may be familiar with through your phone, but all this is all integrated based off of the actual loads and stuff like that are on our system. In addition, very recently we just announced, actually I think it was last week, we augmented SuperPay with something called instant transfers, which is a product for our carriers. Right now, with kind of standard SuperPay, right? It's ACH. If that sounds familiar to everybody, if it's not, which is really just means ACH is like a very kind of that slow. Like if you think again back to like Venmo, where it takes like 3 days for like
Oh
when you
yeah.
click the button to when it shows up in your bank account. What instant transfers does is it's short circuits all that and lets you get paid instantly. So, for example, if you got a delivery done on a Friday and you wanted with a normal SuperPay, it'll take 3 business days. So, which means actually not Monday, but that would actually mean you're going to get paid on Wednesday in your bank account. With instant transfer, you can get paid Friday instantly within seconds. So it's something that we're quite proud of, and it's already moved hundreds of thousands of dollars through it, even though we just launched it.
That is incredible, and I know a lot of, friends that drive myself, right? And, to have that feature, I'm definitely going to put them in touch with you because that's a major pain point. It's just like, all right, like, hey, like, I gotta wait until next week, or sometimes a net
Yep.
15, net 30, sometimes for these
Yep.
big shippers, net 60, and it's just ridiculous. So that is a really cool capability, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we're quite proud of it. And like I said, the reception so far has been really good. And yeah, like I think with this and other features, we really do care about our carriers, and we're building lots of products just to help support them.
That's awesome. You scale products at some pretty big companies, like we talked about earlier in the interview. What's been the most exciting or challenging when it's come to Super Dispatch specifically?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. One thing that's I think that the challenge right now for us is to really start rethinking about how our platform works in general. And what I mean by that is, and I think this is frankly a common thing that you see with a lot of software, is that it starts as kind of the software, the way the interaction works is while you do send messages and emails and stuff like that to get people to come back in, like the actions that the person needs to take are, very much like initiated by them. So it's more like a reactive model. And the thing that we're trying to change about how we think about our products and how we develop them is to turn them into really a proactive model, which really means is that like you let the computer do what it's good at, right? It's like finding problems, identifying them, and then showing them to you. Maybe it takes action for you, or maybe it just tells you about it and then lets you, okay the action. But it's, I think, something that's a bit of a challenge, not challenge, but a change in the mindset of how you approach like building a product, right? It's not just like build the, you show the thing, you give the tools, and then they click through and do the stuff, right? It's like, hey, I'm bringing this forward towards you. What do you want to do with it, right? So again, like taking that mental burden off folks and letting the computers kind of bring it towards them.
Definitely. Now let's talk AI, and not like in this super hype, just niche rah-rah way, but like, I know and I've seen posts from you, you can speak to it very well. Of course, there's invisible AI and things that are essentially users don't know. They don't even realize that AI is being utilized under the hood,
Yep.
which is actually the show name for today's show is Under the Hood. How are you thinking about this when it comes to Super Dispatch specifically?
Yeah, yeah. A great question. I think like one thing I'll say, Malcolm, like look, I grew up in the tech industry. I'm actually from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I'm a
Nice.
native growing up here. I've seen it all. It's lots of things changing. Like I do dislike the term because it's thrown around so much right now, and like you said, like with all the hype. But I think the thing to think about it behind the hood, right, uh, is there's tons of examples. It doesn't have to be these like big whiz bangy flashy things that solve all the problems in the world. Like frankly, the way we like to think about it at Super is like what are the paper cuts can we solve? What are the little things, right? And you put a bunch of those little things together, right, and it comes something really big. But like that to us is really where our minds are at, is like how do we solve these little paper cuts that cause like delays, tons of and manual actions every day. Like that's the problems we want to solve. And I think a good example that we already solve and do in our product is on our driver app. The app actually, when you're taking pictures of around the car, right, to prove its status when you pick it up to make sure it's in one state, and when you deliver it and it's in that same state, you want to make sure you take those pictures at very particular angles, right, to capture the vehicle in the right way. So our software has AI built into it to helps make sure that the driver is aligning it to like the right angle of the car, and that's AI behind the scenes. It's helping to identify that. And the cool thing about it too is not only is that helping to protect the driver, right, to make sure they get those right angles to prove that like if there was damage that it wasn't their fault and all those good things, but also it's actually, we go back to SuperPay and that automatic payment. If you do that, you do that with our driver app, you take those pictures and everything's identified and known to be in the right angles and checks out okay, that actually enables that automatic payment that I mentioned earlier. So I guess the point is, right, you do this little thing in that taking those pictures, but it can unlock a series of things down the road that makes just everyone's lives better.
Absolutely. Framing when it comes to, this overall, it matters. When you're just talking, automation versus AI, how do people react? I mean, specifically when you're talking to customers like carriers, brokers, when they're skeptical and just like, hey, like, I don't need another tech pitch. I don't need another technology
Yep.
system right now.
Yeah, I think the frankly the best thing, Malcolm, is just to show them what it does. Show them the problem. Again, like everything that you do, and with all this AI hype, like we talk about this internally, like whether it's solved with AI or some traditional method, like if we're solving a real customer problem, then it's meaningful to them, right? It doesn't really matter if it's some large language model or just a heuristic of like an algorithm that we write ourselves. As long as it solves that problem and you can show it to them, like that's all that they really care about. So we have I see example recently with a carrier who's an owner operator, and we were talking about, I actually asked him, hey, like, what have you thought about using AI? And he's like, oh, like, no, I don't want to use AI. And then we showed him this demo of a voice agent, and how it was automatically handling some stuff, based on a person calling in and confirming loads and stuff like that. And it went from like, okay, like I don't want the AI thing to like, oh, actually, does this would be useful. Could this do other languages? And we're like, yeah, it probably could do other languages. So I think again, like it's just if you're solving a problem and you show it to them, like the tech behind it, frankly, doesn't matter. As long as it solves the problem, then that's all that matters.
100%, David. Now, you can utilize this when it comes to, mom and pop type companies or huge shippers. How do you design this for adoption across the board when it comes to these different types of companies?
Yeah, yeah. I think just like from the default is no matter like what size we're designing for just a great overall experience and thinking just about usability. Like that works for everyone, right? Nowadays, the standards of user experience are just so incredibly high, whether it's for a consumer product or a business class product that's for a huge enterprise. Where I think the differences come into play between like our smaller mom and pops and our bigger like shippers, brokers, all those types of things, is really the integration piece to other systems, and like the partnerships that we need to then develop with other other companies that they work with, or even their own internal systems, because they're like really again coming kind of back to what we want to solve at Super and like avoiding like all those spreadsheets and manual steps and so forth, is making sure that data flows seamlessly both into Super's platform and then out of Super's platform, so that those like kind of more complex workflows and systems can talk to us. Like ultimately, like we want to kind of be that hub that helps you run your business, but we don't have any thoughts that we're going to control everything. Like that's absurd, right? We want to make sure we're integrated nicely to other partners within the ecosystem as well as our customers' internal tools as well. So that's really the big difference there is those integrations and the data flow.
I feel like you have the answers to the test because I was literally about to ask about integrations next. So this is an awesome segue. This is a big part of your strategy. How do you
Mhm.
decide which systems get priority first? Like, does it come to the fit specifically in the ecosystem, or does it come to the type of company? I mean, walk me through what that looks like.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like I'd say it's not necessarily like a strict science, Malcolm. It's more of like a when the right opportunities come to all together. Because you can imagine, like there's numerous tools and things we could integrate with, and it's really more again like rooted in what do our customers want, what do our customers need, and that ultimately dictates really kind of like our prioritization. As we hear enough noise from enough customers that they need a certain integration, like that's obviously going to pop that integration up to the top of our list of next things to do. If we get a large customer coming in and they want they need us to integrate with a third party tool that they require to use, like that also is a very meaningful thing that we'll do. I think in general, though, the way we think about any of these integrations, right, we're not just building it for that particular customer that comes to us or those particular customers that come to us. Like we're building it so that any of our customers can take advantage of it. So it's definitely like a not bespoke solutions. It's platforms solutions.
Definitely. There's a connotation in the industry and a stigma rather that, hey, the industry's stuck in 1997, but we're about to be in 2037, 47 when it comes to technology. What's your advice for these vendors that are basically very reluctant to rely on technology and to navigate this transition to 2025 from the old way and the right way of
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
things?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be, frankly, a necessity. And I actually think, talking about like we talked a little bit about voice agents earlier, and I was actually thinking about that same carrier that I mentioned. He said that he has a bunch of drivers who are older, and we're asked him like, why aren't they using Super Dispatch's mobile app? It's great, like everybody loves it. Why wouldn't they use it? And he's like, well, they don't have smartphones; they have flip phones. And so they're like, there's no possible way for them to do it. It's not because they won't install it, it's just they have like no mechanism to do it. And I think that's kind of where I see, technology kind of almost like leaping over smartphones in the industry and like getting, things more modern, is that with, things like these amazing voice agents that you can build right now, folks with those flip phones, like they can actually start using technology, right? They're going to jump over the whole smartphone mobile app thing and go right into talking to an AI agent. They won't necessarily know that or maybe care about that, but for them, they can kind of keep doing the way they do and keep their flip phones and make their phone calls and get their job done more easily because they'll be utilizing technology, whether they like realize it or not. I think that's kind of like where I see one of the big changes happening is these tools kind of allow folks that maybe are a bit more hesitant to utilize the technology because of like the interface. They can get to be comfortable with using their voice, and like that I think will be a huge change.
That is a huge change for sure, and I think it's definitely an advantage. And let me ask, what's next when it comes to Super Dispatch? Are there any areas that you're looking specifically to improve upon, or just any types of just big excitement type of pinpoints within the organization?
Yeah. I obviously, for obvious reasons, can't tell you too many specific details.
You're smart. You're very
Yeah, I
media
think like
trained. I love it.
yeah. You're too popular. You're too popular. Can't get all that. But no, I think the big thing that I'd say where we really care, we obviously serve shippers, brokers, and carriers, and we'll continue to do that and build tools for all of them. The place where I'm thinking, where my mind immediately jumped when you asked the question is really about our carriers. Like we very much feel like our business and our success is rooted in taking care of our carriers. And so, from a roadmap perspective, we've got a ton of new functionality coming that we're planning to build that just to make our carriers' lives better. Where comes down to like being paid more easily, helping manage their business, finding loads, all those types of things. Like there's a ton of work that's happening there that we think will just take care of our carriers, and we feel like we take care of our carriers, that helps our shippers, that helps our brokers, right? Because we'll have the best carriers, the most healthy carriers in the industry, and everybody will win because of that. Again, like there's products that we're working on for both shippers and brokers as well, but the stuff that I'm really excited about right now is what we're doing for our carriers.
David Mendelson, Chief Product Officer at Super Dispatch. David, thank you so much for joining us here on What the Truck. Where can people go find more information about you as well as Super Dispatch?
Yeah, it's very easy. Superdispatch.com is the place to
Oh,
go. Yeah, search for it. Like we'll show up. If you want to look at our mobile apps, they've got awesome ratings, both almost fives. I think 4.7 and 4.9 the last I checked. So you can take a look at those as well.
awesome. Awesome. David, thank you so much for joining the show, man. Need to get you down to Chattanooga sometime. Looking forward to it.
I've been to Chattanooga. You guys have an awesome aquarium. I love that aquarium.
All right. Well, hey, we got to see it again with me, man. I'll take you through a different
Yeah.
route. So,
Yeah, nice, nice. I drove a duck boat once too. I got
oh,
it.
sick,
Fun.
sick, sick. Dave, thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Take care. Thanks, man. Again, David Mendelson, that was amazing. And y'all, we're gonna go quick 2-minute drill real quick. Of course, you guys know it, the 21st and 22nd of this month, F3 is going to be here in Chattanooga. We are going to have some big things in store, going to be shutting down downtown Chattanooga. Could not be happier. Brand new demos, a bunch of different companies, a bunch of different vendors, and of course, the whole team here at FreightWaves, led by our fearless leader, Mr. Craig Fuller. Could not be happier for what's to come here at F3. There's still time to get some tickets. Look on our website, freightwaves.com, for those promo codes for you to be able to get your ticket today for F3. It's going to be the hottest in the city, one of the best conferences of the year in the industry. You'd be a fool if you missed out. And you'd be a fool if you missed out on Wednesday's episode. I am going to have the man. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. Matt McClellan with Covenant. This guy, I can't say enough about him. I mean, he is one of one, second to none. We're going to talk all about sustainability, things happening in the industry, as well as much more. So make sure you don't go anywhere. And we will see you on Wednesday. It's been another episode of What the Truck. I'm your host, Malcolm Harris. Y'all take care. See you Wednesday.